enjoy pummeling viruses to a pulp with the Punch series? Well, it may interest you to know that there is another series that packs quite a punch. Unleash the Fury with the Fist series. First up is BronzeFist, which inflicts 100 damage. Then there's SilverFist, which does 140 damage. And GoldFist does 180 damage, but as the delay on each of these battle chips is probably making things clear, there is more to these battle chips than meets the eye. Each one has their own special button input, just like Variable Sword. By inputting this combination with BronzeFist, you execute a Rocket Punch. By inputting this combination with SilverFist, you execute 3 Rocket Punches, 1 in each row. And by inputting this combination with GoldFist, you execute 3 Rocket Punches in each row. Something else interesting I discovered about the Fist chips is that in multiplayer net battles, the Fist chips confuse players. Sometimes the best way to defeat a virus is to slowly eat away its health, and that's what this next series does. Inflict the Poison with the Mask series. First up is PoisonMask. Its area of effect is limited to the 2 panels in front of MegaMan. It emits a purple, toxic mist that slowly reduces the enemy's health. The beneficial thing about the PoisonMask is that it also acts as a shield. Only piercing attacks can actually break through and hit MegaMan, and the shield will remain up as long as you hold the A button. As for PoisonFace, the only difference is that the area of effect is now the first 2 columns in front of MegaMan, and it depletes health much faster. This next series of battle chips is a tad difficult to use, but if you can get the timing right, you can potentially eliminate lots of viruses very quickly. Inflict instant death with the Void series. First up is Whirlpool. MegaMan throws a ball that deploys a Whirlpool when it lands. The Whirlpool kind of acts like a stage object and slightly stops viruses from moving. Now the aim of this battle chip is to time your throws just right, so that you create the Whirlpool in a panel that a virus is just about to walk into. That way, when they walk into it, they walk into the Whirlpool and are instantly deleted. And this applies to every virus in the game. Blackhole is pretty much identical to Whirlpool, the only differences being the colour of the void and how long the void lasts. Not really that how long it lasts for really matters, considering how the battle chip's meant to be used. So, throwing viruses into the void and insta-killing them might be a little too overly complicated. But throwing flaming chunks of space rock at them sure is as darn simple as you can get. Run and take cover, it's the Meteor series. MegaMan places a scepter that generates meteors to randomly strike the enemy field. Meteor 9 generates 9 meteors that each do 60 fire damage. Meteor 12 fires 12 meteors that do 80 fire damage each and fire at a faster rate. Meteor 15, which fires 15 meteors that do 100 fire damage each. And finally, Meteor 18, which fires 18 meteors that do 150 fire damage each. Sometimes, the best way to get rid of viruses is just to detonate the entire enemy side of the field. And this next series of battle chips has the necessary explosive power to do so. Send them out with a bang, with the TimeBomb series. First up is TimeBomb 1. MegaMan places a time bomb somewhere in the first column of the enemy side of the field. When the timer ends, the area is detonated and 70 damage is dealt to every virus on that side. TimeBomb 2 does 120 damage when it detonates. And TimeBomb 3 inflicts 200 damage when it detonates. If a virus is making you feel under the weather, perhaps you should make them feel exactly the same. Time to rain on the enemy's parade with the cloud zip. Hang on a minute. Wrong cloud! That's better. SmallCloud creates a cloud in the first column with an enemy in it. The cloud rains back and forth, doing 70 aqua damage for one cycle. MediumCloud does 90 aqua damage, runs for 1.5 cycles, and moves slightly faster. And BigCloud does 110 aqua damage, is still faster, and runs for 2 whole cycles. In a reversal of fate, this next battleship used to be part of a series in the first game, but in this game is a standalone chip. Surprise explosion from underfoot. From the landmine battleship. MegaMan randomly places a landmine on the enemy side of the field that deals 300 damage to whatever stands on it. It should also be noted that multiple mines can be put down at once, the maximum being 2. If you put down any more, the older ones will detonate on their own, dealing no damage to anyone. This next returning series is also of the explosive nature. Wow, that seems to be a big trend with this game. There are a lot of explosive battleships. Anyway, avoid cutting the wrong wire on the Dynamite series. First up is FrontSensor. MegaMan places a dynamite grenade one panel in front of him that senses anything that goes on in the panels ahead of it. If the sensor is tripped, it explodes and does 100 damage to anything within that sensor region. And then there's DoubleSensor, which behaves exactly the same, but detects motion diagonally ahead of the grenade. Yet another returning series of battleships is up next. It's electrified, it's remote controlled, and due to being abbreviated in Japanese and not English, we've got no idea what the name even means. Look up above! It's the Remobit series. First up is Remobit 1. MegaMan places the remote controller, which operates the bit. Hence the name Remobit, Remote Bit. Anyway, yeah, that's how the name works. Anyway, the bit goes around zapping through panels, moving in an 8-shaped pattern. And it does 80 electric damage to any virus that is unfortunate to get in its way. Next up is Remobit 2, which also does 80 electric damage, but the bit moves in a figure 8 or infinity-shaped pattern. Should also be noted that the bit cannot actually destroy the controller. And then there's Remobit 3, which also does 80 electric damage, and like Remobit 2, the bit moves in a figure 8 pattern. Unlike the first game, where it would just move in a circular pattern and completely avoid the center panel. This next series of battle chips may come across as being just plain weird and underpowered, but in actuality, if you know how to use it correctly, it can turn into one of the most powerful battle chip series in the game. Just make sure you don't pop it in those situations. It's the Balloon series. AquaBalloon is a floating balloon attack that does 10 aqua damage. Initially, the more damage it takes, the more it gets powered up, until it touches an enemy, bursts, and explodes all over the enemy field. The same goes for ElecBalloon, which does 10 electric damage, initially. And HeatBalloon? Yep, same deal, 10 fire damage initially. It should also be pointed out that you can power it up yourself with your own attacks. In fact, if you power it up with battle chips, you can get its attack to ridiculous levels, even as high as 999. No other battle chip goes that high. The next battle chip is one that really doesn't belong with anything else. Time to flush out the viruses with the Geyser battle chip. When thrown in a hole, the Geyser battle chip produces a large bubbling water tower that does 200 aqua damage. While they share the similarity of requiring a hole to be used like the Geyser battle chip, this next series of battle chips has nothing else in common, but believe you me, they definitely pack a punch. Unleash the fury of nature and the elements with the Summon series. First up is the LavaDragon summon. Summons require there to be one hole in front of MegaMan to work. The LavaDragon is summoned and breathes fire on every visible virus, dealing 200 fire damage. Next up is GodStone, who's sort of an homage to Stone Man from the first game. He randomly drops stones in the enemy side of the field and do 150 damage each. And then there's OldWood, who's sort of similar to Woodman from the first game. He spears every panel in the enemy field with wood towers. The next battle chip takes us deeper into the selection of more defensive and utility-based standard battle chips. And it comes from the adorable Mets that you see all over the net. Block and reflect attacks with the Guard battle chip. The Guard battle chip protects you from one attack for a brief second, and it sends the attack back in a shockwave of equal magnitude. Land-based attacks making it difficult to dodge or execute your own attacks? Well, let's just say this next series of battle chips will put a hole in the enemy's strategy. It's the PanelOuts series. First up is PanelOut 1. MegaMan destroys the panel directly in front of him with a pickaxe. And then there's PanelOut 3. MegaMan destroys the column in front of him with a pickaxe. Finally, there's Lineout. MegaMan creates a flamey virus. When an enemy enters the same row as that flamey, the flamey destroys that row. In addition, this flamey can also damage enemies. It does 40 fire damage to the first enemy it hits. AquaBall. Full custom. Hero Sword, Hero Sword, Hero Sword, Hero Sword, Hero Sword, yes!